Hey, yes, boys, welcome back to the channel. Today, I'll be breaking down UFC Vegas 90, Chris Curtis taking on Brandon Allen in the main event, boys. But before we do that, let's recap UFC Atlantic City from a betting perspective, boys. Minus 2.8 units on the night. We had some unlucky plays, one which I'll get into in a second, but I was able to help people win some big money, even though we lost 2.8 units tracked. There's other bets as well that I'll show you in a second. These bets right here, as you can see, plus 3.48 units, and if you take it away, or if you add that onto the minus 6.28 units, it'll come to minus 2.8. Just clarifying that, by the way. But yeah, we got extremely unlucky, boys. But before we break down this, let's get into this. I wasn't able to track this on BetMMA Tips because this was only midway through the card. This number showed up. This number showed up midway through the card, and I wasn't able to put it on this midway through the card because it locks before the card starts, so you can't place any more bets on it on the website. But I was able to tweet this out, and I was able to help a lot of people out by making some big money. Plus 10,000 Chris Weidman KO. Yes, it was a decision, but Bet365 paid it out anyway. So yeah, very happy with that. As you can see here are some of the messages that I received. You're the GOAT, man. I appreciate every single one of you guys. I do, man. I appreciate all the positive, vibes and stuff. Some of the people I'll get into in a second. I've been getting a lot of hate for one particular thing this week, which I'll get into in a second here. But yeah, here are some of the the messages that I've received for the Chris Weidman. This is why you guys should follow me on Twitter. Sicky Does MMA. We just surpassed 3,000 followers. So yeah, very happy with that, boys. Appreciate every single one of you and all the new subscribers on YouTube. So yeah, look at all these messages I've received. Another message just showing you guys. And then another message as well, tweet, I guess. But yeah, let's recap here. So minus 6.28 units on BetMMA Tips, boys. But look at the luck we received. Look at the luck we received on this card, boys. Aaron Blanchfield got paced for 5 runs. Great game plan by Manfrot to negate the forward pressure off Aaron Blanchfield with the side kicks, with the straight punches. The jab was nasty. The straight, shot was nasty. And yeah, just a very good game plan by Manfrot. The lateral movement also caused Aaron Blanchfield big problems as well because she wasn't able to cut her off very well and wasn't able to trap her against the fence. I thought that Aaron Blanchfield, as the fight would go on, would be able to cross that distance into the clinch scenario and work a takedown, but she just wasn't able to. And I think that Aaron Blanchfield has a lot of holes in her striking, so yeah, she has to improve there. She's only 24 years of age, so she will improve, and there's no doubt in my mind I think she will be a future champion. Literally, she's how many years away from her prime? 8 to 9 years away from her prime, and already one of the best fighters in her division. So yeah, it is what it is, man. And then Cedricus Dumas, I uploaded a reaction on Twitter of me losing this bet. I was a breaking point at this stage because I was getting so unlucky with the over 2.5 in the Bazooka and the Petrovsky scorecards equals no action, which I'll get into after this. But I uploaded a reaction on Twitter, and yeah, it was basically me freaking out. People don't understand. I have a lot of money, man. I want to have a good reputation in betting as well. That's why I'm so emotionally invested in losing money and winning bets and stuff. So yeah, I'm trying to provide you guys with the best analysis, with the best bets possible. That's why I'm so emotionally invested in these fights that I'm trying to provide you guys with really good bets on. So yeah, I got a lot of hate for it, but I don't really care, man. It is Twitter at the end of the day. It's all fun and games, and still somewhat entertaining content I was able to provide you, even though I got memed for it. I had 80k views so far on Twitter, and most of them are hate comments. So yeah, it is what it is, man. It's just fun and games. Don't really care about all the hate comments. I don't even really pay attention to it. So it's hard not to pay attention when people are spamming it in my notifications, but yeah, it is what it is, man. Just mute the conversation and move on at the end of the day. And then Reese McKee turns into a Dagestani wrestler, man. How can I predict this, dude? I can't fight for these guys, man. I cannot fight for these guys. You know, Rhys McGee has never really wrestled in his entire career and then decides to wrestle after winning the first few striking exchanges in round 1. I'm wondering if his calf was more messed up than we think, because on the feet, man, he was looking good early on, literally out landing, out striking. This fight went completely the opposite of how anyone thought. Rhys McGee wins round 1 and then loses the second and third round. It was the complete opposite of how everyone thought this fight was going to play out. The way that this fight was going to play out in most people's minds was going to be Chitty round 1 or Rhys McGee second or third round. So, you know, I can't predict that, man. There's no way anyone predicted how that fight like that. There's just no possible way you thought that was going to happen like that. Our next unlucky bet was Petrosky. Scorecards equals no action. That means if that went to decision, either way, I would get my money back, just my 1.5 units back, my $75. Or if he lost inside the distance, which he did, I would lose 75. Or if he won inside the distance, I would win like whatever 1.5 is from plus 132. I would have won money there. But yeah, you know, that fight was looking like it was going to the scorecards all day, every day. He shoots a single leg takedown and KOs himself. So yeah. Oh man, I'm trying to smile through it, boys, but it's hard when, you know, you're on such a hot streak. 57.62 units on the year so far, absolutely killing it this year. 108.92 units overall in the past like 15 months. So it's hard when shit like this happens, man. You know, over 2.5 as well in the Dennis Budka versus Conor Matthews fight. That it went to the third round. It looked like it was going over easily all day, and yeah, he gets KO'd in the third round. At the start of the third round, my read was perfect on that fight, but still wasn't able to win money on the fight. Still lost money on the fight overall because it still wasn't, you know, I lost 0.9 units on that fight. Yeah, man, that, like, I 100% believe if they rematch tomorrow, that it would literally be minus 200 and it was over 2.5 would be minus 200 the next day. Minus 150 was value, man, and I still believe that fight goes over 7 or 8 out of 10 times, man. It is what it is, man. You know, we're not going to win all the cards. I'm kind of disappointed, man. I am kind of disappointed with how that night played out. Lost 6.5 units on those unlucky plays. The Cedricus Dumas eye poke, no contest. Like, what a joke, man. And then the Petrosky KOs himself with a single leg takedown. Very interesting stuff. Over 2.5 in the Dennis Budka versus Conor Matthews. Doesn't go under by like 2 minutes, or goes under by like 2 minutes. Looked like it was guaranteed to go over. And yeah, boys, we'll be back. We will be back for UFC Vegas 90 and also these bets as well. We won 3.4 units. So if you do the math here, you know, add that to that, you know, you'll get 2.8 units. So yeah, overall not a great night at the office, but it is what it is, man. We will be back for UFC Vegas 90 and we will be back on the horse and yeah, winning once again like we've been doing the entire year. One bad night is not going to kill us, boys. But yeah, guys, enjoy the video for UFC Vegas 90, boys. I will see you for my best bets video, or no, betting podcast on Tuesday or Wednesday. So yeah, be sure to stay tuned for that, and then my best bets video on Friday. I will see you in the next one, boys. Have a good day. Peace. And our first fight has been Nora Cornolle taking on Melissa Mullins. This fight's very interesting, man. You know, Nora Cornolle is going to be the better striker by far. She's very good at striking, you know, solid off her back, but her takedown defense is absolutely horrible. Her takedown defense, as shown in her last fight against Jocelyn Edwards, in a fight that I don't even think she won, was very suspect. And she's facing a grappler, basically a grappler with okay striking, pretty you know, defense on the feet, and that's where, like, I think that Cornolle could expose and tie up Melissa Dixon early on the feet. Like I said, Cornolle is a very big power puncher for women's MMA, so this could be a very interesting fight early on. If she's you know, if Melissa Dixon is able to survive those early rounds, I think that she could take over and potentially find a submission in the second or third round. Melissa Dixon, more of a grappler, more of a wrestler, looking to get this fight to the ground, but I don't think her wrestling is overall very good. I don't think her wrestling's that good. for MMA, but like I said, man, you can kind of take this girl down with a gust of wind. But I don't think Jocelyn Edwards is, I think Jocelyn Edwards is more physically imposing than Melissa Dixon, which could be a bit of a factor in the handicap. It's surprising to see Cornolle at such a big underdog price at plus 270, so it may be a system play to bet Cornolle, because like I'm about to mention, Melissa Dixon in her last fight against Russian Ronda, you call her, that's just what she goes by, was getting absolutely tagged up early on, and I think that Cornolle is a better striker than Russian Ronda, and I think that Melissa Dixon's defense and striking overall is pretty poor, and she will be at a big striking deficit in this matchup, in my opinion. So I am going to pick Cornolle, man. I think that the big strikes will be a big factor in this matchup. And as we've seen in her last fight, her Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu off her back is actually pretty good. It's pretty solid for, someone who's pretty new in MMA and comes from a kickboxing background. So I do think she will be safe for the most part on bottom. But Melissa Dixon is very good and very aggressive when she gets on top, looking to transition to dominant positions on the ground. So it is a very interesting fight. But I do think that all the value is going to be on the power puncher here with Cornolle on the feet. So give me Cornolle by I'm going to go first round stoppage, TKO standing. And our next fight is going to be Dylan Budka taking on César Almeida. This fight is very interesting from a stylistic standpoint. It's very easy to break down, in my opinion. It's either going to be Dylan Budka utilizing the fence here, trying to wrestle on César Almeida, who's a very, very high-level kickboxer. Fought in Glory, fought guys, I'm pretty sure, like Alex Pereira. And yeah, just fought at a very, very high level in kickboxing. So César Almeida will have the striking advantage. He'll have the volume. He has very good cardio as well, as seen in his last matchup against, who was it? I forgot the dude's name. Let me check. Lucas Fernando. Lucas Fernando was trying to wrestle this guy, put him in really bad spots on the ground. But César Almeida was able to show solid takedown defense, but his get-up game was more impressive, and his cardio throughout the 3 rounds was even more impressive, in my opinion. But Dylan Budka is a guy that's going to work you against the fence here. He's going to try and get you against the fence, work some takedowns as he did in his last fight against the South African dude, Hanekom, who actually tested positive for cocaine, which was very funny. But yeah, Dylan Budka, okay in the feet. He has solid enough boxing, but I do think he is outmatched on the feet. I mean, he's going to be outmatched by a Glory kickboxer on the feet, but I mean, it's MMA at the end of the day, so his style could work. It doesn't really matter if you're a high-level kickboxer, it's how you implement it in MMA, but I do think César Almeida has the diverse striking on the feet to be better on the feet, and the volume on the feet to be better on the feet than Dylan Budka. I do like him at plus money, man. I do like César Almeida at plus money. He's shown that he has a good get-up game, and I wouldn't say Dylan Budka's wrestling is extremely good. I wouldn't say it's that good, and I do think that César Almeida has shown the takedown defense to stop a guy like Dylan Budka from just grappling him the entire 3 rounds. So I do think this is going to go 3 rounds. I do see César Almeida winning the majority of the striking, and I do think he's going to be able to rack up the points while Dylan Budka is kind of controlling him against the fence, not really doing much. But when they go to open space, it will be César Almeida landing the crisper boxing, landing the kicks from the outside, and just being more active on the feet. So yeah, give me César Almeida by decision in this matchup. And our next one is going to be Jean Matsumoto taking on Dan Argueta. Jean Matsumoto is a guy that has very crisp striking, very young in MMA. Only, he's 14-0, but he is only 24 years of age, and this guy's looking very impressive. In his Dana White Contender Series fight, he fought a wrestler in Casey Tanner, but I wasn't high on Casey Tanner. I actually bet Matsumoto. Let me actually check the odds for that fight. Hold up. Should have been more prepared here, but let me actually check the odds here. I think he was an underdog, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, he was a slight favorite. So yeah, I bet Matsumoto in that fight against a wrestler. I just felt like, John Matsumoto would have had the better striking. The BJJ is a black belt in Muay Thai or something like that, and a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, so this guy's very well-rounded for only being 24 years of age. He's taken on a guy in Dan Argueta who has very, very good wrestling, very good forward pressure, not the best striking, does leave himself open to be hit, which is a bit of a worrying sign against a guy who's as accurate, who's as fast, who's as slick on the feet as Jean Matsumoto. But I do think the Dana White Contender Series fade is back in here, ladies and gentlemen. I think that Dan Argueta has he has some a nasty grappling and wrestling, man. When he gets on top, as we've seen in that, what's his name, Ronnie Lawrence fight, like, this dude's trying to transition to dominant positions and find a submission, and I think that John Matsumoto is not going to be ready for a guy like Dan Argueta. It's such a hard debut to be taken on a guy like Dan Argueta, who's going to be coming forward with that relentless pressure, with that relentless pace that he puts on guys. He does slow down as the fight goes on, but I do think his pace, and he's consistent enough to keep on going. You know, against Malice Jones, he didn't look the best, but Malice Jones is a good fighter, man. Very underrated, been underrated throughout his entire career. So, yeah, I do think that was a bit of a hard stylistic matchup for him, but John Matsumoto is a bit of a guy that I do think that Dan Argueta can get his wrestling off and get on top of this guy and just keep him pinned up against the fence and work on him, grind him against the fence and win this fight, either by submission or probably by decision, in my opinion. So, give me Dan Argueta by decision in this matchup. And our next fight is going to be Cynthia Calvillo taking on Piera Rodriguez. Cynthia Calvillo 0-5 in her last 5 fights, but she's lost to very good women, man. If you look at her record, she's lost to Lupita Godinez, she's lost to Nina Nunes, okay loss, I mean, she's not great, like, but, you know, Andrea Lee, solid, Jessica Andrade, you know, good, that's a good fighter right there, and then, you know, Caitlin Chikagian, also a very good fighter, and I don't think that Piera Rodriguez is on the same level as those 5 fighters that I've just listed off. Cynthia Calvillo is a girl that will have she's very well rounded. She has solid striking on the outside, solid boxing. It's not great, but she's just very solid overall, and she will look for takedowns. When she gets you to the ground, she will try and look for submissions in certain positions. And Pereira, on the other hand, is a girl that has very big power in her hands for women MMA, and she is very dangerous on the feet, and will look for takedowns as well to get on top and potentially get a ground and pound or like a submission, something like that on the ground. But I feel like she won't have a grappling advantage, like a wrestling advantage here. I think that Cynthia Calvillo is going to be the better fighter here overall, man. She's more well-rounded. You could say she is past it at this point. I do agree. Like, she's 37 years of age, coming in 4 months, and she's 0-5 in her last 5. But Pereira Rodriguez is not good whatsoever. Her fight IQ is terrible. Her striking isn't great. She slows down as the fight goes on. I do think that Cynthia Calvillo, as the fight extends into the second and third round, will be able to get on top and just, ride this out for it as a decision victory in this matchup. Pereira Rodriguez is going to be dangerous early on with her strikes, but like I said, man, I don't think she's going to be able to have the wrestling success that she has in some of her fights in this matchup, and I think that Cynthia Calvillo is the better grappler by far, and the better wrestler, and the more well-rounded fighter. So give me Cynthia Calvillo by decision in this matchup. I'm not really confident, but I do like her odds at plus 170. I think that like a 1.5 unit play on Cynthia Calvillo at this price is a solid enough play, even though she's 0-5 in her last 5. So it is a low confidence play, but I think the value is there, in my opinion. 12 months ago, she lost a very close fight against Lupita Godinez. So yeah, I'm going to go with Cynthia Calvillo in this matchup. Our next fight is going to be Alatengheili taking on Victor Hugo. That was a mouthful to say, but Alatengheili is a solid enough striker and wrestler. I wouldn't say he's phenomenal anywhere, but when he gets his wrestling off, he is pretty good. But my read on this fight is it's really hard to say, man. This fight is so hard to predict. As the week will go on, I think my read will become stronger on this fight. But for now, it's not really a fight I'm looking to play from a betting perspective. But Victor Hugo, on the other hand, I think that this guy's a come forward fighter. Looks to like kind of brawl on the feet and looks for takedowns. He has some very, very good jiu-jitsu when he gets you to the ground, and will always try and transition to positions. But his cardio is a bit suspect. Yes, he found that submission win against I actually bet on Torres in that Didn't White Contender Series fight. Pretty bad bet, but I think that this guy is kind of a he does kind of slow down as the fight goes on from what I've seen of him, but I think his aggressiveness, his forward pressure, and his brawling style against Alatengheili will be enough to beat this guy. I think that Alatengheili isn't going to be able to deal with that forward pressure very well, and I think that Victor Hugo has enough takedown defense to stop Alatengheili from getting on top, and if he is taken down, he has very good jiu-jitsu, so I'd expect him to reverse positions on the ground and find sweeps. So the pick's going to be, excuse me, Jesus. The pick is going to be Victor Hugo by second round submission, probably. This fight's very hard to predict. My read will get better as the week goes on, but for now, going to go Victor Hugo by second round submission. Not really a fight I'm looking to play from a betting perspective. There's just many question marks on both sides, in my opinion. And our next fight is going to be Norma Dumont taking on Germaine de Randamie. Norma Dumont, I mean, he has cake. Okay, you chill. So Norma Dumont, she has solid enough boxing on the feet, okay wrestling and good on top, solid jiu-jitsu overall, and solid cardio, good output on the feet for the most part, and solid enough power for a woman in MMA. So she is probably going to be the side in this matchup, but it's a fight I'm not looking to play, man. If Germaine de Randamie comes in looking like she did previously, I think she probably wins the fight, but I can't really rely on that. She's coming 40 in 3 weeks, and she's been out for how many years? I think it's 2+ years. 3.5 years it's been. I cannot rely on Germaine de Randamie here, let's be honest, boys. I mean, she is coming in here 3.5 years after beating Juliana Pena on, I think it was Fight Island. I'm pretty sure that happened. So that was so long ago, man. So yeah, I think Germaine de Randamie has the better striking for sure. She has solid grappling as well. But I think that Norma Dumont's forward pressure to cover the kickboxing distance into the boxing range, it's going to be enough to be an older, slower Germaine de Randamie, who actually I'm pretty sure she had a baby as well. So that's obviously going to have an impact on how she's going to perform as well. I think that Norma Dumont is going to be the side, but it's a fight that I'm not looking to lay chalk on. Many question marks about how Germaine de Randamie is going to look in there. She could look amazing. She could look washed. She could look okay. I think the forward pressure, the boxing off Norma Dumont is going to be enough, and the cage work against defense is going to be enough to win this fight. So give me Norma Dumont by decision in this matchup. And our next fight is going to be Court McGee taking on Alex Morono in the welterweight division. Court McGee, man, this guy is a solid wrestler, pretty strong for the welterweight division, pretty big for the welterweight division, but in his last 2 fights, he's been KO'd out cold against Jeremiah Wells and Matt Brown. Court McGee is a guy that I feel like if he wrestles in this fight, man, I think that he could be a very, very live underdog, because as we've seen, Alex Morono doesn't have the best takedown defense, but he is very dangerous off his back. But when Court McGee is wrestling and getting on top of guys, he's a hard guy to fight. He's a very hard guy to fight, and I just feel like I also think the striking could be pretty competitive in this fight, and I think that plus 275 on the underdog on Court McGee is a pretty good bet, man. I do think it's a solid play at those odds, because like I said, man, I think that he can make this fight very competitive on the feet, and if he does decide to wrestle, which is kind of hard to rely on him to do that, I think he can win this fight, man. I really do. I think he could win like 29-28, 30-27. I mean, obviously, that's how it's like, but you know what I mean? Like, I think he could win a decision in this matchup if the fight extends. But Alex Morono, on the other hand, this guy fights like a coach, and surprisingly, he is a coach. He's a coach, and you can tell he's a coach the way he fights, pretty technical in all aspects of MMA, solid striking, just very technical in the way he fights, just very coach-like, if that makes sense, the way he fights, good BJJ, bit of a BJJ nerd, solid striking, good power in the feet, but I think his takedown defense is a bit, it's not great, man, and when he's on his back, he kind of can get stuck down there, which I could see being a big problem in this matchup. I am going to pick Alex Morono in this fight because, the durability has been feeling Court McGee, he was so durable before his last 2 fights, only getting KO'd once in 30 fights. Now he's been KO'd twice back to back, which is kind of a worrying sign, but I do feel like the value side, the value play is going to be Court McGee if you're going to be betting this fight, and yeah, I'm going to go Alex Morono by decision, but it's not a confident play, and I would stay away from parlaying Alex Morono in this matchup. But yeah, boys. Our next fight is going to be Trevor Peek, the GOAT, taking on Charlie Campbell. Trevor Peek, man, this guy is an absolute wild man inside the cage. This guy is looking to brawl. This guy is throwing hammer fists on the feet. I mean, this is literally throwing hammer fists on the feet. Some crazy stuff, man, that this guy performs inside the octagon. Big slams for takedowns. A lot of energy, expanded in the first round, trying to take your head off. But I just don't think that's going to be enough against a guy like Charlie Campbell, who's very technical in the boxing and striking aspect of MMA. Very good distance management for the most part. Good 1-2s on the pipe. Just technical boxing is how I think he's going to be able to win this fight compared to the looping shots of Trevor Peek. I think that Charlie Campbell has a major striking advantage in this matchup. And I think he has the power to put out a guy like Trevor Peek, who is durable, but I think that the ref will just step in and be like, no more, TKO to like ground and pound type thing after getting dropped or hurt. So Charlie Campbell is going to be the pick. I played him at -188. I thought that was a steal. I played him for 3.5 units. Usually I don't give out my bets for prediction videos because I like to leave it, for my actual best bets video on Fridays, but yeah, that line's moved. He's like -250 now, and I'm not surprised. I see that continuing to move, to be honest. I don't really think that Trevor Peek is the type of guy to beat a guy who's as technical and, well-versed in the striking like Charlie Campbell. Charlie Campbell, yes, he got KO'd by Chris Duncan, which isn't the best look, but that was a Dana White Contender Series fight, and we know how those fights play out sometimes, the way these fights play out in Dana White Contender Series. That's why it's the best show in MMA right now. I'm not even joking. Pay-per-views and Dana White Contender Series clear everything in MMA. Hurt Chris Duncan really badly in the first round, and then started to, try and finish him, but then Chris Duncan clipped him back on the chin. It's just Dana White Contender Series. These guys will try and, try everything to get a finish so they can impress Dana White, and that's something that I haven't seen from Charlie Campbell in any other fight, so I do think that was a bit of a one-off. Gonna go with Charlie Campbell I'm gonna go second round TKO when Trevor Peek is slowed down and where he can just keep on landing shots on Trevor Peek. Give me Charlie Campbell by second round TKO in this matchup. And our next fight is going to be Łukasz Brzeski taking on Valter Walker. Łukasz Brzeski is a striker at the heavyweight division. I mean, have you seen, if you guys have seen pictures of him before entering the UFC to now, you'll see this guy was absolutely juicing to the absolute max, and if he comes in here like looking ripped again because USADA are gone now, I may play him just for the sake of it. Even though he probably will lose this fight, he shouldn't lose this fight. He's like a +300 underdog, but if he is, ripped because USADA are gone, I may have to play him. I don't know, it's just something that I'll be looking out for at weigh-ins, but Łukasz Brzeski, solid enough boxing, solid leg kicks on the outside, but does slow down as the fight goes on, and his takedown defense and grappling off his back is pretty bad in my opinion. Also he's been clipped on the chin the past few fights. Got slapped out cold by Waldo Acosta, got destroyed by Carl Williams on the ground, and then lost to Martin Buday on the ground as well. No. That was one of the worst decisions I've ever seen in UFC history, how he lost that fight against Martin Buday. Absolutely joke of a decision. But yeah, Valter Walker is going to be a guy that completely different from his brother. His brother's more of a striker, but Valter Walker is more of a wrestler. On the feet, man, he is. Ooh, you don't want to see this guy striking because it is ugly. But he wants to get this fight to the ground, and I do think he has the athleticism to beat a guy like Łukasz Brzeski, who is doesn't have the best takedown defense, pretty bad off his back, not the best cardio. So I do see Valter Walker getting the takedowns in this matchup. But on the feet, man, you do not want to see this guy strike. Very awkward. Not good at striking whatsoever, so I do think that Łukasz Brzeski could potentially, clip him on the chin, but I doubt it, man. I think that Valter Walker is going to have the grappling and wrestling to get this guy to the ground and win probably like a stoppage via ground and pound or potentially a submission. So yeah, give me Valter Walker by second round ground and pound. Our next fight is going to be Ignacio Bahamondes taking on Christos Giagos. Ignacio Bahamondes coming off that loss to Ludwig Klein, but I think Ludwig Klein is underrated, man. I think Ludwig Klein is more technical than people give him credit for. Solid wrestler, well-rounded, and yeah, just a solid enough fighter. But Ignacio Bahamondes kind of got just kind of like technique the entire fight, and it showed a bit of holes in his game for sure. But I think that Ignacio Bahamondes in this matchup will be able to display his long striking, his solid enough kicking on the outside and boxing on the outside. And I think that Christos Giagos is going to struggle as the fight goes on. I think that he can have success early on. Bahamondes is hittable on the feet, and we know that Christos Giagos has solid power on the feet and good wrestling as well. But I think that as the fight extends, Ignacio Bahamondes is going to be able to pick up the pace and put it on Christos Giagos, who hasn't really got the best cardio, like I mentioned. I think I mentioned that. But yeah, I think that Ignacio Bahamondes, as the fight goes on, is forward pressure. He will be the guy advancing on Christos Giagos and then putting it on him. So I think that Ignacio Bahamondes, like third round, late stoppage, is going to be the pick. So yeah, give me Ignacio Bahamondes by TKO, but I could see a submission. A submission isn't a bad play. Giagos has been submitted multiple times in his career, so yeah, I do like Ignacio Bahamondes potentially getting a submission if Christos Giagos shoots a bad takedown and leaves his neck out there. So give me Ignacio Bahamondes by third round finish. And our next fight is going to be Morgan Charriere taking on Shepe Mariscal. Very interesting matchup here. Morgan Charriere is going to be the way better fighter, better striker in my opinion. He'll have the edge on the feet with the kicks, with the crisper striking, with the boxing, the more diverse strikes with the kicks. The way he's able to mix in his kicks with his boxing is very impressive, very athletic in that division, and very fast as well. And I just like what I'm seeing from Morgan Charriere in his 4 or 5 fight win streak. He's making improvements, only 27 years of age, I'm pretty sure. And Shepe Mariscal, man, you know, this guy's over succeeding in the UFC so far, in my opinion. I am not high on this guy. I am Shepe Mariscal's #1 hater. The way he reacted after, you know, getting a fluke finish against Jack Jenkins was very, very frustrating. It kind of annoys me to this day because I had a bet on Jack Jenkins, and, you know, Jack Jenkins was absolutely piecing this full up on the feet, making him look like an absolute clown on the feet, just dancing on his head throughout the duration until, you know, he posted on his arm and then just snapped his arm in half. So it is what it is. That's MMA for you guys. But you know, Shepe's a tough guy. Seems like he's a pretty tough guy, but he does have, I think, in my opinion, some chin issues. He's been slapped out cold 3 out of his, I think it's 5 losses or 6, 7 losses. Yeah, he's been like literally slapped out cold on the regional scene multiple times. And I think a guy like Morgan Charriere with the speed advantage, with the power advantage, and with just the athleticism advantage he will have in this matchup, will be able to, you know, move around, light this guy up, Mariscal. He doesn't really cut many angles when coming in, trying to close a distance to get in the clinch and use some judo to get you to the floor and use his you know, jiu-jitsu to potentially submit you on the ground. I don't think that's going to end well for him in this matchup, so I do like Morgan Charriere to sit on the outside, piece Shepe Mariscal when coming in, who's very one-dimensional on the feet. A couple leg kicks here and there, but it's mostly with his hands, and then he'll try, like I said, get against the fence and potentially work some, you know, judo throws in there, and, you know, end up on top, look for submissions. I don't really think that's going to work against a guy with the athleticism, with the movement, and with the, you know, kicking ability on the outside, and even the boxing as well. Off Morgan Charriere. I just think Morgan Charriere has a way higher ceiling than Shepe Mariscal at this level. So give me Morgan Charriere by second round TKO in this matchup. And on to the co-main event of the evening, we have Alexander Hernandez taking on Damian Jackson. Alexander Hernandez, we know that this guy is going to bring at this stage in his career, you know. Moving down to 145 once again, I don't know if that's the best decision for him, but in this fight, man, he's going to have the better boxing. He's going to have the better striking by far. He's going to have the more powerful hands. He'll have the more diverse... Oh my god, excuse me. He'll have the more diverse striking on the feet. He'll have the more power. Like I said, I think he has a cardio edge for once in his first time in his entire career. And you know, Damian Jackson, man, a guy that's looking to get this guy to the ground, but I don't think he'll have that type of ability in this matchup against a guy who has solid wrestling in Alexander Hernandez. And I think that his cardio is pretty bad. And what you need to beat a guy like Alexander Hernandez is forward pressure. Damian Jackson has that at times. Relentless cardio, nope, doesn't have that. He doesn't have relentless output either. As the fight goes on, I mean, he is dangerous in round 1 and could potentially find a finish in round 1. But I think as this fight extends, and even in the first round, I think that Alexander Hernandez can put it on Damian Jackson with the crisper striking, with the body shots, with the more well-rounded skill set as well. So I'm going to go Alexander Hernandez. I really like his price tag at -170. Let me actually check what that is now. I'm assuming he's minus, okay, still around, okay, yeah, he's -200 now, so, yeah, I like Alexander Hernandez this weekend to beat Damian Jackson in pretty dominant fashion, to be honest. I don't think Damian Jackson's that good, and I think he's kind of overachieved, if that makes sense, in the UFC, so give me Alexander Hernandez by first or second round TKO in this matchup. And our next fight is going to be Brendan Allen taking on Chris Curtis in the main event. Brendan Allen, we know how this fight went in the first time. Brendan Allen got, kind of destroyed by Chris Curtis, but Brendan Allen has improved since then. His striking's improved, his kicking ability on the outside is impressive, his grappling as well has improved as well, and his wrestling. And Chris Curtis taking it on short notice, but I don't really think he's a guy that is going to be in terrible shape ever. He's a guy that's going to be in the gym sparring. Guys like Sean Strickland, a lot of middleweights in Team Couture, the Couture gym. So he's going to be in the gym at all times, improving, while trying to improve. He's not really going to be improving at like 36, coming 37 pretty soon here. So, yeah, I think that Brendan Allen is the pick in this matchup. I think he is going to be the guy making the improvements, the guy that will be making the adjustments, on a pretty good win streak right now. And I think that he can, take down Chris Curtis. Chris Curtis has okay takedown defense. I think it was overrated for a while there. He had like 100% after like 3 fights, but I think that Brendan Allen has, upped his game since they first fought, and I think that Brendan Allen has the kicking ability and the volume to outstrike Chris Curtis on the outside, and even implement some wrestling when Chris Curtis is covering up. So I do like Brendan Allen in this matchup to utilize his size advantage in the grappling exchanges and potentially finding a finish. But I do see this going all 5 rounds and him winning a unanimous decision victory against Chris Curtis in this matchup. So there you guys have it. There was my breakdown for UFC Vegas 90. If you guys enjoyed that, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, as it helps out the channel massively, guys. And I will see you for my betting podcast either Tuesday or Wednesday. I'll see. And then my best bets video on Friday. Yeah, we'll bounce back, man. We'll bounce back after that, rough UFC Atlantic card from a betting perspective, boys. But yeah, guys, enjoy the rest of your week. Enjoy your Sunday. Have a good Easter. And yeah, I will see you in the next one. Have a good day. Peace.